And what a weekend, guys. It's just been phenomenal, hasn't it?
Yeah, and London is a buzz, isn't it? It's just amazing.
It's kind of weird for me because I'm a writer, so I just sit there in my house. So if someone said to me what was London like during the Olympics, I would say, I don't really know. But I went to the gymnastics today.
Which was great as well.
It was great. I mean, aside from kind of people with loud haters talking to you all the time, everyone's being very friendly. It's most disconcerting.
I shall have to get my loud hailer up very shortly just to make you feel at home. But we shall start, of course, with Andy Murray and his exceptional win against Federer. Straight sets in 1 hour, 58 minutes, I think it was. First of all, then, I mean, it's an astonishing achievement. I again, think he probably felt a huge sense of pride representing Team GB, despite what people may or not say. But it's not a Grand Slam, is it? It's still not classed as a Grand Slam. And it's still this thing, Annie, where we're saying, OK, he can win it when perhaps it just doesn't have Grand Slam in the title and he can seem to do the business. But why can he not replicate that when it is a Wimbledon or a Flushing Meadows?
Well, let's start with the fact that he has just won a gold medal, which is absolutely amazing. And I wonder if perhaps coming into the event, he didn't take it perhaps like it was a Grand Slam, but as he got closer and closer to that gold medal, I think it meant more and more. And winning that gold medal, I'm not saying it's Grand Slam, but I would imagine that it's come pretty close for him.
Yeah, we've heard McEnroe say, haven't we, that it should be classed as a Grand Slam. It is a phenomenal achievement. He's still beaten the best to get there.
And I love McEnroe, and so I feel like I shouldn't argue with him, although my wife would probably
no
think,
one would want to argue with McEnroe.
But I would say that, first of all, talking about it's not a Grand Slam, but we saw when Federer won the doubles last time with Wawrinka, he was really quite excited. And I think that anyone who's grown up loving sport, even thinks, I want one of those gold medals. I'm not a sportsman, but I want a gold medal. And whether the fact that it wasn't a slam enabled him to play, I don't really think I agree with you there, because if you look at Wimbledon, you couldn't say that he didn't turn up in the final of Wimbledon. He turned up, he played brilliant tennis for a set and a half, then it rained to ensure that then the circumstances favoured Federer after that. But I also think with Murray that he might just be there now. The way that he attacked Djokovic was different to the way that he's played against him before, where he's often been quite tentative on the big points and not gone for shots that lay people like me think that he should have done. Whereas now I think he seems to have taken some confidence from that Wimbledon campaign, where he's actually he's getting stuck into the likes of Federer and Djokovic in a way that suggests that he might be able to beat them in the future. And I think that Federer's still the best, but he seems to only be able to produce that level of tennis now for a set and a half. So I think that the slam is actually quite close for Murray now.
Well, I'm very pleased to say joining us on the Skype wall is an old familiar face, Alexandra Willis, tennis correspondent at Telegraph. It's a pleasure to see you, Alexandra. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks.
Now, listen, we've just been chewing the fat, so to speak, and probably being slightly unfair to Andy and saying, oh, it's not a Grand Slam, but, you know, it's a phenomenal achievement. Where does it rank for you, and what do you think it means to Andy?
Well, I mean, he said that it's the biggest win of his life, of his career by far. And I think what we might see and what we hope we'll see is that it will be a bit like how it was for Djokovic when he won the Davis Cup for Serbia, that it will just give him that confidence and that belief in himself. And to beat Roger Federer in a major final for the first time in a best-of-5 sets, even though it's not a Grand Slam, I think should have a very big impact.
You mentioned the best-of-5 sets there against Federer. Do you think it was an advantage at all that it wasn't the best-of-5 sets on the way to that final? Do you think maybe you get more out of Andy when it's over a shorter time period of a game, or do you think that's neither here nor there?
Possibly. I mean, it's not that he didn't play very much tennis, because of course you have to remember he played all those mixed doubles matches.
Yes.
And one of the things that people said was that his net play was so good against Federer, probably because he'd been so sharp at playing all that doubles. I think maybe the pressure on you is different in a best-of-3 set match, because you can't really afford to get behind. So maybe it did make him go out there with a much more positive, aggressive mindset, especially in the Djokovic match. And then also, of course, Federer had that really, really long match, so he was probably a bit tired, more tired than Murray would have been. But it's 6s and 7s, really.
Yeah.
So do you think that there's a difference in Murray's approach? Because I felt that certainly against Djokovic, that he was attacking him in a way that he wouldn't have done, or is that just me? Do you think that he's made the change now that he might need to make to be able to go on and beat these guys in the Grand Slams?
I think it is a mentality thing. I think in the best-of-3 sets, you just know you can't afford to get behind, because you've got so much more catching up to do, whereas in a best of 5, if you lose the first set, you're a bit like, oh, it doesn't matter, there's still a bit of time to go. So I don't think that's wrong. Whether he would say that made the difference, probably not. I think he would say that he's been incredibly relaxed and incredibly focused at the same time this week, and I think he's loved the whole Olympic experience. I don't think any of the tennis players, British players who played here this week, knew how special it was to be part of an Olympics until they've actually done it.
Yeah, Annie, I was talking to you before we came on air